Welcome to this yin yoga routine for the hips. Yin yoga is a wonderful, slow, quiet practice. And this session is going to be even more gentle because we're using the aid of a chair. So we're using the chair to help support us in some of the yin yoga poses, which are going to be all lying down on the floor. So this is a practice that's ideally going to leave you feeling more stretched and open in your lower body, better able to walk and move in your daily life. All right, have a sturdy chair. You might want a blanket or towel for over the top of your chair. Let's get started.
So you're going to help yourself close to your chair. You might have to scooch a little bit back on your arms, your upper arms, so that you can get your calves up on the chair. You can absolutely adjust the blanket underneath if you'd like. And you're going to find a position where your calves are comfortably resting on the chair. Your legs are about at a 90-degree angle. Now for some people, a chair, depending on the height of the chair, may be too high. You can absolutely use a step stool, a small box, anything that's lower, maybe an ottoman. So we're looking for comfort of our legs. And once you get into the pose, you can scooch around to make space for your lower back. Sometimes I like to tick my pelvis up a little bit and then settle it back down so my lower back feels comfortable against the ground. Arms can rest by your side. They can rest on your body. So we get the bit of fidgeting out in the beginning, and then we start to grow quiet in the pose. So the goal of yin yoga, or one of the goals of yin yoga, is to settle our body in a quiet space. And then we're looking from that quiet space for some soothing of the mind. Now also in yin yoga, we are generally targeting a specific area of the body for some stretch. Here in this pose, this is a pretty supportive pose, so there's not going to be a lot of stretch. But what you might feel is something with your lower body being supported and allowing it to release a little bit in this way. Some of the other postures we'll do, you'll notice the stretch a little more. And then the last part of the yin yoga practice is we stay in these postures and we hold for time. And that time can vary, usually about 2 minutes or so minimum. It can be anywhere up to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or even longer. So when we find the stretch, we're looking for a sense of a Goldilocks stretch, meaning not an extreme stretch, and also not zero stretch. So the Goldilocks stretch is the place where we can stay and feel a sustained stretch for our designated period of time. Now, as I said, this is just an opening preparation. We're going to stay here a little longer. You might see me looking at my clock here. We'll stay here another minute or two, and we'll simply start to tune into our breath. Have your head in a relaxed position as well. And draw your attention to wherever you can feel the breath in the body. You might notice it at the nostrils, at the chest. This is a nice place to use your hands over the lower abdomen or lower ribs. See if you can feel some gentle movement of breath into your hands. So if I touch my fingertips together, as I breathe in, the movement of my breath slides my fingers apart, and maybe you can see that on me. And then as I exhale, the emptying of my abdominal cavity draws my fingertips closer together. So I'm absolutely not trying to force that movement of my fingers. It just happens naturally as I breathe in and out. If you're not feeling the breath in your belly, that's fine. The abdominal or deeper diaphragmatic breath can be more relaxing. So it's worth putting in some effort, maybe outside of your yin practice, to practice this type of breathing. for now, wherever you're breathing comfortably is a perfect place to be breathing. Okay, take about 3 more mindful breaths. And for my purposes, mindful simply means following the breath as it comes in your body and following the breath as it leaves your body. And after your third breath, we're going to move into our next pose. Our next pose is going to be first just drawing the knees in, and we'll put our feet on the edge of the chair. You might have to scooch back a little bit like I just did, so you can draw the knees in relatively close to your chest. Now they can be further apart, closer together. This is just a transitional moment in between poses. You'll note that my chair is on my mat, and that's going to help when I have my feet against my chair from pushing the chair out, my feet sliding off the chair. You can also have the chair backed up against a wall. So take 3 mindful breaths in this position, and here you might feel your belly pressing up against your thighs as you breathe in. If you have your legs wider, you might have the space for your belly in the middle. And then from here we'll move into a thread the needle pose. For this we want to be so that our feet or our legs are more in a 90-degree angle with the knees above my hips. I'm not quite there, so I'm going to come up a little bit and scooch away from the chair. You might totally want to come up and move yourself away, or you can move the chair. I'm also going to take my little towel out of the way. So now I can rest my feet on the edge of the chair and my knees are more in a 90-degree angle. And you can even move further away if that's better for you. I think I'm going to scooch just a little bit more. And then I'm going to take my right ankle and hook it over the top of my left knee. I can adjust my foot in that position. I can put my right hand lightly on the top of this leg to move it away. And in fact, I like to move it back and forth a little bit. That will help you find your Goldilocks spot. Remember, our Goldilocks spot is definitely not our 100% stretch. That's like trying to sustain a sprint for an entire marathon. So I'm going to take my leg out to where maybe I can feel some sensation, 50-60%, not much more than that. And then we'll stay for time here. Most of the poses we hold, we're going to hold about 2 minutes. And as I said, that's about the minimum of yin time. I find that when teaching this over video, that's about a minimal amount of time that works for a video. In class, I would probably hold for longer in a live class. You can absolutely hit the pause and hold for longer if there's any of these poses that you like. A yin practice can be 1 or 2 poses. You might return your attention to your breath. Again, your hands can go on your body if you'd like. If your mind starts to wander, you can also draw your attention back to where you're feeling that sensation. In this pose, it's most likely somewhere in your outer hip, your glute. Remember that we're trying to sustain that sensation. And so there's 2 main things that can happen as we hold for time. One is the sensation can start to build. Suddenly a place that was comfortable no longer becomes comfortable. And that's our body's cue to back off the pose a little bit. So I might have to move my knee in closer to my body. The other thing that can happen is you found your perfect stretch, but as you're here for a while, you lose the sense of sensation. It's no longer feeling like a stretch for you. You're no longer having a stress to the muscles that we're trying to target. And so in that case, you might find you have space to move your leg a little bit further, move into a slightly different position. We're always going really slowly in yin, moving by small increments, so so that we can gauge where that next step is for you. You have the option of closing your eyes in any of these yin poses. If you choose to keep them open, you still want to direct your attention internally. All right, let's take 1 or 2 last breaths on this side. We move out of the yin posture slowly as well. You can use your hands to help guide your leg out of this pose. Take a moment. Take a moment with both feet here, or maybe place your feet on the side of the chair and do a few gentle windshield wipers. This gives us a chance to observe the effects of the pose, sometimes called a rebound. And you can also be simply still. Just notice the rebound, notice anything differently going on the side that you stretched. And then we'll switch to the second side. So you may have to adjust, feet come back to the edges of the chair. And then we take the second foot, whatever your second foot is. I'm just using my hand to help me guide that into place. And then once I get there, I might again have to scooch a little bit. I'll take the knee forward or back and forth a few times, simply exploring where the stretch shows up for me. Every single person's body is different. And then when I find a spot where I think that, okay, this is a bit of a stretch, seems significant that I can hold for maybe 2 minutes, I'll stay here. And then that's my opportunity to direct my attention back to my breath. You'll notice throughout this class that I don't direct you to what the pose looks like externally. In yin, that is absolutely not important. It's not an alignment-based practice. How it looks on the outside is really irrelevant. Yin is a feel-based practice. It's a functional-based practice. And so it's all about how it feels in your own body. And I can tell you, I'm starting to feel a little bit of intensity in this part of my glute as I stay here. I know that that's part of my side that sometimes gets overstretched for me. So to stay here about another minute, I'm going to back off of that stretch a little bit, find a spot that's not as intense, that I can stay for another minute or so. Now this pose, you might know it from Hatha yoga classes as Reclined Pigeon. I've heard it called both thread the needle and eye of the needle. The names of the postures are different in yin yoga. And that's partly to help our brains adapt to practicing differently than we would in a vinyasa class, a Hatha yoga class, basically any type of more yang yoga class. All right, let's take one more breath here. And maybe use your hands to help that leg down. And this time, let's take both feet down to either side of the chair, and let's take a moment, a rebound moment. That's simply a time to observe. So you're staying in a few moments of stillness, noticing any changes. If as you come out of a yin pose, there is anything sharp, a discomfort that's building after you're in the pose, that suggests that you went a little too far for your body, and that's telling you the need to back off. So that's a way to explore it in different poses. One more breath here. And then we're going to roll to one side. I'm going to roll toward you. For our next pose, we're again going to be lying down. Feet are going to be on the chair. This time, the soles of our feet are going to be together, knees open in a butterfly pose. And you might also know this as other names like bound angle, cobbler's pose. It's generally called butterfly in yin. I'm going to scooch a little closer to the chair. And I'll put just the feet up, taking my soles together and letting my knees open out. So this is a little bit different. There's a lot of ways to practice this pose. A different way that releases some of the gravity off of our hips. It's not as intense a stretch for the inner thighs. We're still trying to produce some sensation somewhere around the hips. And then once you find that sensation, and you might even take it down another notch because this is our second to last pose. So as we're winding down, absolutely, if you've had enough stretch, you really have felt the target areas, perhaps now is the time to be a little softer in your practice. And to only, maybe that stretch goes from 50% to 20, 30%. You could return your hands to the area of your belly, just like we did at the start. Some might find it soothing to have one hand over the belly button, the lower ribs, other hand over the sternum or chest. Think of this top hand as a little bit of nourishment, kindness that you're offering toward yourself. Practicing yin in and of itself can be an act of self-kindness, self-compassion. Feel that kind wish for yourself here. Remember that at any point you can adjust. Perhaps your arms are tired in the position that you had them in. You might choose to rest them by your side. We'll be here another minute. Know that anytime your mind wanders away in yin, just as in life, that is a natural thing. The mindful part of our practice is we notice we've wandered, we notice we've changed directions to wander somewhere off the mat. And with kindness, with that compassion for ourselves, we simply draw our attention back the same way you would guide a puppy. Gentle, drawing ourselves back. Okay, Okay, we're ready to transition to our last pose. Our last pose is going to be a rest. We're going to go back to our constructive rest, same place we started the practice. We'll allow our shins to rest over the chair. My toes stick out the back of the chair. Yours might be different. You can be further away if you'd like. I like to scooch a little closer. Again, tuck my tail a little bit so that my low back can feel comfortable against the ground. Your legs can be floppy if you'd like. If you don't want them to be floppy but don't want to put a lot of effort into holding them together, wrap a blanket around your shins. Not only will that help keep you warm, but it'll help you gently keep your legs in this position. You don't have to put much effort into sustaining. When we rest, we're trying to release our effort. So here, one last time, find a place of stillness for your body. Perhaps you put socks on before you did this last pose so that you can be warm, and you can cover yourself with a blanket. You are welcome to stop watching and stay as long as you like. As long as it's comfortable, this is a wonderful place to rest 15 or 20 minutes. You'll get extra soothing benefits of releasing tired feet, relaxing your lower body if you've been on your feet a lot, giving your heart a rest. It's a very gentle, mild inversion. There's lots of benefits from that too. And if you find that lying here, your chin is tilting back, it's best to have your chin a little bit toward your chest, and that's where you can even take a blanket, a small pillow. I'll show you with my small narrow block under your head so that your chin can tilt slightly toward your head, your chest, with a little bit of pressure on the occipital lobes at the back of the skull. That pressure helps to release an effect in the body that, again, fosters the relaxation response. You can enhance that by slowly exhaling each breath. No need to even worry about the inhale. Inhale naturally, and now extend a longer, slower exhale. So let's do that 3 more times together, and again, you can stay here as long as you'd like. Inhale naturally, exhale long, slow. Inhale, exhale, long, slow. Maybe even pursing your lips to do that. Inhale effortlessly, long, slow, last exhale. And then remember, you can stay. Or if you choose to transition with me, you can roll both legs to one side. You can take your legs to either side of your chair. Use your arms either on your side, on your forearms, to help yourself up to any comfortable seated position.
What did you think of that practice? Did you like using the chair as a prop in the yin poses? You'll notice that using a prop can sometimes make a pose more accessible, and sometimes it can increase the sensation or make a pose more challenging. Comment to let me know what you'd like to see in future practices like this, whether you'd want more practices using the chair as a prop. Check out my other yin videos. I hope you feel more relaxed and open, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.